Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another webinar by KEKA and Heritage. And we hope you all are doing safe and keeping fine, not just you, but your colleagues and family members as well. We're very happy to have with us today Komal Agarwal, who is the CHRO at Shrestha. We know that more popularly as 24 Mantra, the organic food company. And of course, my colleague Sanjay is here with us as well. Over to you, Sanjay.
Thanks, Anjali. Good afternoon to all our regular participants, and thank you so much for being engaging audience always. And we really enjoyed the patronage, and we sincerely hope that you have enjoyed all our past sessions, and this is going to be another interesting one. So, welcome, Komal. Absolute pleasure to have you here. And over the past few weeks and couple of months, actually, we have been having very senior and experienced professionals like you come and address the HR community, primarily the HR community, around various aspects of how the function has evolved, number one, and two, what exactly has been and continues to be the priority in these unprecedented times that we are experiencing. So as it is, we are experiencing HR evolution of HR into a more evolved function. But with the pandemic coming into play over the last 6 months, it has just shot everything out of the window, and the entire paradigm has shifted. So the priorities of HR, the priorities of business, and therefore ultimately the people, everything is changed, as you can well imagine. So the whole idea this afternoon is to get a perspective from you as the CHRO of a well-established medium-sized organization. And our focus is the medium-sized organizations here, simply because the large organizations is a different ballgame altogether, as you know. Call it number of people, call it deep pockets, call it technology, call it whatever it is. But it's more the small and medium segment, which is kind of taking the bigger brunt, bigger slice of the brunt over the last 6 months. So let's start by asking you the first question as to, as the CHRO of a smoothly running, organization in the mid-sized sector, what has been your experience over the last 6 months in the way your role has changed, how the business paradigm has changed? And so let's start hearing your views on that first.
Okay. So first of all, thank you, Anjali and Sanjay, for asking me to join you, and thank you, Anjali, for convincing me to be part of this session. So last couple of months have been very, very interesting. And the beauty is that it's been world over. Nobody has been spared. It's everywhere. So, any country, any continent you go, every human, I mean, the way I think is that before entering into the HR and organization spaces, any individual or human stepping out of the home, anywhere, will be first thinking about safety, will be thinking about corona, will be thinking about protection anywhere at any point of time. So you see such a huge impact on the mankind, which we never heard of, never thought of, right? So, and it's not spared anybody, okay? Whether it is rich or the poor or educated or uneducated or whatever. So with this kind of an impact that has happened across the globe, it's a huge people impact, and we are HR, so we are human resources, right? So it has impacted the most critical, perspective or part of what we do. We are all about HR folks is all about taking care of people and engaging, hiring, and that's the resource we are talking about everywhere. And of course, it has taken everybody with a shock, and everybody, initially, I'm sure there's nobody who can say that, yes, I mean, nobody could understand the scale when it happened, when it started, December, November, and that, this will be the scale of impact. None of us were prepared. neither organizations or HR or leaders or people, nobody was prepared. And another aspect of this is every human has their own ability to cope with any change. Every human is unique. See, that's why you go to a doctor, right? When you go to a doctor, the ailment may be the same, but why do you need to go to a doctor? So that there is a treatment, etc., etc. So the point, what I'm trying to say here is, it's a huge impact. It's impacted the main resource, the people resource, and therefore we as CHROs and HR leaders have had to play a very very crucial role in the last couple of months. It's been more of a business leader's role because with the pandemic, there have been a lot of things: anxiety, global stock market tumbling, unemployment, fear, uncertainty, so many other things. So, our role, the most important one, is been to bring harmony in whatever we've been doing. And the second aspect is to cultivate awareness because with the pandemic, the amount of knowledge and information that we see, it's a WhatsApp culture, it's a YouTube culture. A lot of times we could see that, there is exodus of information, but which is the correct information? Even with the WHO, every day sharing, giving an update globally, also those perspectives kept changing. So understanding what is the correct knowledge, what is the correct information, and how to oblige also is also been a very important part. So awareness has been the second role, and the third part is resilience. So with this kind of impact, how do you ensure that things? I mean, whether use the word normal or things move on, I would say, life has to go on. So how is it that we continue? So business continuity is a very, very important aspect. We as business leaders. So that's why I'm saying it's less of an HR kind of a role. It's more of a business leader's role that we have played, and a very, very critical role that we have played in the last couple of months. So
Very well said.
resilience,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very well said. And I can just about imagine, the maybe an uphill task that we've all faced as HR folks.
Yes. Yes.
Also, very interestingly, Komal, there was a survey conducted by Qualtrics Remote Work Pulse, and 80% of the workers in that survey said that communication from their company, exactly as you were saying, while there are so many sources of information, communication from their company helped them to feel more confident in the actions that they were taking during the ongoing crisis. So I was very
That's
happy to hear, yeah, I was very happy to hear you say that as well, and the survey just corroborates what you said. I read another statement which also said that CHROs are actually helping not just employers but also employees navigate through this new era. And that this was like the Edelman Trust Barometer, which conducted a survey which came up with this particular statement. Having said that, what is it that, what percentage of HR heads do you think have really been the true business partners in business growth, and how has your role in this regard changed over the last few months, Komal?
the role has been, as I said earlier also, it's been a business leader. Business continuity has been the main agenda for us. And while you say use the word business continuity, we have been not only responsible to keep our employees engaged but ensure the families are safe.
Hmm.
So it's not just that HR, the role is just about people management, etc., etc. It's about, for example, I'll give you, so if your employee is, for example, working from home
Hmm.
and they're getting distracted while they're taking care of kids and parents, how do you handle it? How do you still continue to support as well as ensure productivity and engagement?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you see, there are multiple facets to it. It's not about just the employee. It's because a lot of the employees, it's the communities that have got impacted. It's the families that have got impacted. So the entire, the audience has changed. The focus is not just the employee anymore. The focus is more broader.
Mm.
So that's why it's about bringing in more flexibility to the work environment. It's not about just a Zoom or a G Suite, etc. But
Mm.
it's about how is it that as an organization we understand, we engage, as well as ensure that there is productivity.
Mm.
So it's a tight rope walk. It's not a very very simple one, because before March February, we were just looking at
Mm.
employee engagement. We were talking about employee health and fitness. But now it's a community. So where
Yeah.
you stay, the building you stay. So the impact, the entire perspective is very, very broader now. And we are responsible. We have been responsible for it. And we have taken so many more initiatives to ensure that, these concerns are also addressed. It's not just the focus that the employee is there, but there are larger, areas also that we are focusing on.
Sure. That's great. Sanjay, we can't hear you.
Are you able to hear me now? Yeah. So if you look at the overall industry dynamics in terms of how each HR has evolved, let's start with your own industry among your competitors, etc. So what has been the biggest challenge from a people perspective? One is, yes, the roles of CHROs have changed, but what are some of the
Yes.
challenges? The reason I ask this is from an IT perspective. If I just have to relate, IT, the first scare was loss of jobs because there were so many extra people, with all due credit to the IT companies, but obvious tension was around the loss of jobs. And then, of course, was salaries being reduced, no performance appraisals, etc. So, on those lines, what are some of the typical challenges that you have faced with regards to people?
That's a good question, Sanjay. See, ours is a essential commodities industry. It's equivalent to a farmer or an army man. So we are a food company. So we cannot, or we haven't actually shut, or actually the shutdown has not really. I mean, there has been a huge impact, but the business has continued. So whether they have been working from home, or organizing curfew passes, or motivating our employees to step out, etc. So it's an essential commodity. An army person cannot get back home for this, right? Similarly, a farmer cannot stop. So we are a responsible company, and our vision supports our farmers. So definitely business continuity and ensuring that the factories run, the sales people are ensuring, we have used a lot of innovative ways of how to turn around the situation, how to overcome the challenges that we have faced. But it's been a lot of motivation. It's been a lot of quick decisions that we had to take at times. It was all about handling emotions as well also, because the emotion of fear, anxiety, and uncertainty has been huge. So how can we ensure that our employees are able to cope up with these emotions, balance their home, family, um, at the same time work life also? So it has demanded a lot of learning and unlearning as well for us.
Okay,
And today,
makes sense.
the question that we are asked is, okay, you have been able to, there was no time for us to prepare. Any situation you get into, there is time to think about things, but there was no preparation. So it was a lot of quick decisions that we have been taken. And the role has completely changed to being a guardian of the people, ensuring safety of our employees, ensuring compliance, motivation, and also the wellness of the employees.
Great. So, since you mentioned the word motivation, I'm going to jump into one question which has been asked by Anuradha. So, she's keen to understand. Sorry, this is more from Swati and kind of partly from Anuradha as well. With regards to motivation of your employees and the community per se, any highlights on some specific actions that might have been taken by 24 months? That's the question that they've
Yes,
asked.
a lot of these. Yes, yes. See, first of all, one needs to understand the problem and situation. Second is one should unlearn. So what worked before cannot be applied here in the current situation, in the situation that we passed through. And the third thing is a lot of employee related initiatives have been introduced. So, for example, one of the initiatives that we immediately rolled out was we engaged with a doctor and we conducted constant knowledge sessions for our employees. So each of the employee has participated in these sessions, and whatever questions, concerns, fears they had with respect to COVID, these knowledge sessions have really helped them how to ensure safety precaution, etc. Second is, since we are a food company, we have our own nutrition center also. So we have ensured that there is a constant education and knowledge being imparted to our employees. Through WhatsApp, through email, even till date, those are going on. On
Yeah.
health, on immunity, on how to take care of family, and for simple things, to understand COVID and how to be able to cope up with it. So there's been a constant communication going on. We formed our own HR website within a span of 15 days. We put together a website where we put together important information that an employee needs to know about COVID and how to cope with it. So, and
Excellent.
so the employee can reach out there. So these are some of the things that we have initiated, and again, as I said, there was no time to prepare or plan and discuss, debate. We thought, okay, this
Totally.
is there, this is the need of the hour. Let's start doing this, and then we kept connecting with our employees, and constant connection with the employee really helps. So you have to stay in touch with them, more so for our kind of an organization where a lot of the employees are working virtually. So understanding what are the concerns, day-to-day concerns that they are facing, and ensuring how you're able to address it as a HR.
Great. Thank you so much for throwing light. I hope Swati and Anuradha, your questions kind of got answered with that. Anjali?
Yeah. So again, interestingly, what you said in terms of what you had to do and the extra that you had to do was so much more than your regular HR, what your regular job was like pre-COVID, I'm sure, Komal. And
Right.
having said this, how has it impacted your business in terms of, so have you been able to ensure business continuity as usual? How have you ensured that while you do this, business continuity is also taken care of? Uh, their KRAs, maybe performance appraisals, etc. Because we are almost half year through.
So the business continuity definitely has been ensured, productivity has been ensured, but aspects like performance appraisal, we haven't been as rigid as or the discussions have happened, the KRAs have been aligned, etc. But
Mhm.
a lot of time, I think the entire cycle, as we say, performance appraisal cycle has many elements. We might
Mhm.
not have done it in letter, but in spirit we have done it. We ensure that we don't stop doing it.
Yeah, because like I've seen a few organizations where we consult where there's been so what do we pay attention to? Do we talk too much about business, about meeting goals, or do we pay attention to the emotional upheavals that everyone is going through? So these have been conversations that we've had with our clients as well, and hence I thought, let me check with you, how has it worked for you?
It has been a balance of both, Anjali, because both have to go hand in hand. The
True.
concern, the support, because it's all about humans. It's all about trust and emotions. And as I said earlier, it's about addressing the fear and anxiety, and nobody has been spared. So while that continues, it's a balance that we have to strike between being able to handle the emotion at the same time ensuring that the KRA is aligned, and but it is so amazing to know that the employee or the individual and have come back with so much of positivity, so much of energy and enthusiasm. So it's not been one way, it's been a mutual aspect for us at Shrestha, because a lot of pleasant surprises also we have seen from our employees. A lot of employees have scaled up, which in a normal situation you would not have imagined, or through a KRA or structured kind of a aspect it would not have done. I think every single department has stood up to it, and everybody has come has you know crossed the barriers, or or not had any barriers, and really done well. So that's what takes the organization forward, and I think for that the credit would go to the culture, because culture is a very important aspect in such situations of crisis, etc. A strong culture will always support and enable the organization and the employees to move ahead and handle the crisis positively.
Agreed, Komal. And having known you and had a few discussions with you, I know that culture. It's about walking the talk, and I'm sure you're doing it 100%. And
Yes.
Sanjay, with your permission, just before we jump into the questions that are now coming at us, Komal, how are you taking care of yourself as the leader in this situation?
So I have all last couple of months, if you were to ask me, it's been constantly living outside the comfort zone. Constantly. Day, night, I'm a mother of a 10-year-old, I'm a wife, and I'm a homemaker lady of the house. And my husband works from home. He's into sales. And fortunately, he had the option of working from home. I had tremendous support from him. But I tell you, I never could take the shock so much. I was more playing the different hats of a mother, daughter, an HR person, leader, uh, and I think if you were to ask me, one thing that I didn't stop is, I continued with the health aspect. So ensure that I exercise at least on a regular basis personally, so that that gives me the energy to be positive and take everything as it comes. So I think that has helped me. I think discipline has helped a lot, and I have I have ensured that mentally I'm always positive in this situation. It's very easy to say that so many people are impacted by corona. You look at the data and then you say, oh, what is happening, and then nothing can happen, can't step out of home. So it's very easy for an individual to get impacted. But here, I as a person, I believe in being a survivor, and I have been like that. So the the answer I gave to myself was that somehow we have to get away, move on. Whatever is there is a situation, opportunity for us, and move ahead. So that's how I've been able to, cope up with the. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a challenge. Yeah, and now if you were to tell me, in retrospect, how did it go and all, I would say it was not easy, but at the same time, when the when the opportunity was there or situation was there, I don't think it gave me any time to think about what's happening and how should I respond and all. It was very natural behavior, and naturally with the flow, I think we went on. I think my team has also been very supportive, extremely good team. So I think that also makes a lot of difference in a crisis mode. I think complete support from the team, complete surrender and belief, and as HR, none of us actually work from home. We have been coming to the office regularly and being part of every aspect of the organization space.
Thank you so much, and God bless.
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
Anjali, you should move to questions that they are pouring in
Yes.
left, right, and center.
Yes.
So I think we left off at Nancy's question. So we'll start with Nazreen's question here. And so, any specific actions or suggestions or recommendations that you have, Komal, for this question from Nazreen, on how to ensure employee productivity when they are working from home?
It's a tough one, and that's the challenge that we have also faced. First, I would say is trust the employee. Trust the employee. It starts with trust, and that should be the culture. That grounding should be there, that the person is not just sitting at home and doing nothing. And second is, yes, there will be distractions at home, The individual will be taking care of the family, will be taking care of everything. But at the same time, I think the end result will definitely showcase whether the person has done something or not. So the way our organization systems work, our functions work, if somebody doesn't perform and just is claiming that they're doing something, it comes out very clearly. So I think it's for the managers to continue the connect regularly with the team, and the data itself reflects very, very clearly. I think continuous communication is important, trust is important. It's not, I always say that we are not machines. If you're working from home, you might work half an hour late one day, you might work 1 hour extra the next day also. So it can't be like the office thing. Other thing is work from home. I also feel that a lot of people tend to work more, contrary to the yeah, a lot of it's not always that when you're working from home you're working less. I mean, we have taken calls, personally we have taken calls at midnight also. Something is happening somewhere, morning 7 o'clock, you're in the kitchen and suddenly you hear a call and you take the call. So that's also productivity. And so it's one is trust, second is culture, third is an alignment. I think if the end goal is very clear, how the person is reaching, that is more important. Rather than, whether you invest that 8 hours in a day, the way you used to invest in an office, I think we cannot then manage the system.
Great.
Yeah.
So based on the same question, it's kind of a follow-up from Suprita, where she asked, how can performance appraisal be done during this COVID time? So we kind of get these interesting questions during this webinar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So, see, performance appraisal has many dimensions. There are many outcomes of the appraisal process. It's not about just salary increment. It's about goal alignment. It's about review of, whatever the last period, quarter, etc. There is training need identification to it. There is a forum to have a conversation about work. So there are so many aspects to performance appraisal, why a performance appraisal should be done. So what I would say is it is difficult to cover all the aspects, but yes, critical aspects of an appraisal, should be still continued during COVID times as well. So for example, the KRA is a very important element. In some cases, in some organizations, the roles itself have got changed because of the COVID situation.
Yeah.
So all the more important you need to have an appraisal discussion. So it's not about just the end result, but the KRA establishment is also a part. So similarly, if you say training need identification, a lot of organizations have utilized this time to, organize online training programs for their employees. LinkedIn has come forward, and so many companies have subscribed to online training. So that's where the appraisal system also comes into picture. So you have a training requirement, you have a discussion, and so there is more relevance to appraisal here in COVID time also in these, in this kind of a manner.
And I think it gives the managers that time to even check one-on-one with the employees as to how they're doing, which is important.
One-on-one and personal rapport building has been huge. You
Yes,
connect on a
agreed.
personal basis. Fear and anxiety. So much of connect is there. When you're
Agreed.
working from home, children are there, family is there. Everybody is going through different situation and emotion. So
Yes.
it's a beautiful opportunity. I wouldn't say beautiful. It's an opportunity for a manager to build a relationship and build a connect with the organization and with the employee as well.
True. Agreed.
See, every challenge comes with an opportunity. Every problem comes with an opportunity. I am a firm believer of that. So I think that's where I think performance appraisal also should be carried out. But which aspects is for one to decide.
Thank you for that, Komal. Good inputs. So are you going serially, Sanjay? Because
No, I think while we would love to answer every single question, I think we have to be conscious of Komal's time and the overall time set aside for the webinar. So while we might respond to some of the questions later by email, but I suggest you pick up the most interesting ones and,
So there is one question from how can we handle the fear of this pandemic within the team? I would say knowledge and safety is the vaccine. So first is you understand what COVID is all about, how it gets transmitted, what are the safety precautions one has to take, and for that reason, for example, we engaged a doctor, a qualified doctor who would provide all this knowledge to our employees. That really has helped a lot. Our employees have come back, they've asked questions, can I have Giloy, can I have so clear all the concerns that is there in the mind about COVID. Because I think there's been too much knowledge also available, too much of information is also there. So first you understand what is the situation, how am I going to take the necessary precaution, what is the necessary precaution that I need to take, so that is important. At the same time, one has to be positive. I think it's a lot of mental game more than the physical aspect. Believe that मुझे नहीं होगा, मैं मतलब it's not like COVID is standing outside my door. The minute I'm going to step out, it's going to come and jump on me. Not like that. It's not going to happen like that. So I think somewhere that positivity is also very important. That yes, I'm going to take the safety precaution, and it's not going to happen. I'm building on my immunity. That is why I insist a lot. We started yoga classes for our employees. Early morning at 7 o'clock, all of us, including myself, we used to have yoga classes. I said, why don't you build on your immunity?
Yeah.
If you really invest in the right kind of methods, then you feel more confident. If you don't do anything about your health, you don't do anything about immunity, you won't follow a good diet, etc., then and you keep fearing, that's not the solution to cope up with the situation.
Correct.
So I think one has to go with the knowledge and through a think as to how to actually face the fear.
Yes. So I think some of the other questions here, in a way, get answered based on what you just shared. But there's one. So what have you done? Have there been any employees who've been affected by COVID, Komal, in your organization? And you've been lucky.
Because
Okay.
as I said, we are an organization which is in essential commodities. So in fact, on the contrary, I think one of those people who've been hiring people, a lot of people in all functions. So yeah, we've been attracting talent, getting the talent.
Yeah, okay.
Very nice.
And yeah, very, very nice to know. Nobody's been, you're, like Sanjay said, God bless, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
that's been a blessing. Yes, now.
And how many, I mean, you said a lot of them are working remotely. So have you started asking employees to come back now? I mean, is this the right time according to you? Or you're okay with the way?
Yeah. That happened. All employees are back to wherever. See, our model is such that a lot of our employees work in different locations and a lot of them work from home. That's the business model that we have. But with respect to office and factory, yes, people are back and, it's business as usual. Yes.
Okay. So just to go back, Rosetta has asked this question about, is it mandatory to give leave to an employee if detected COVID positive, which is over and above the leave policy? So I think my take on that would be, like Komal was talking about culture. So if the person has been affected with COVID, I think, yeah, extending that support
One
would
has
be,
to, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I, that would be our response to that, Rosetta. Just trying to.
Just looking at some of the. So this is a question which I just wanted to ask you, Komal. Other than monitoring work in terms of the productivity for those who are working remotely, what have been some of the specific actions around keeping them engaged? This is a question from Aloina. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Aloina. While she says they've been doing some fun activities on Friday remotely, anything else in terms of keeping the team together, building team synergy, keeping the motivation up? Any other activities that either you have thought of or have been able to implement within 24 months?
Yeah, actually, as I said, we have a nutrition center. So we have celebrated recently a nutrition week. Wherein, because with COVID, we are saying immunity, with immunity, we are saying nutrition is important. So things like that, we have introduced initiatives where, you conduct puzzles, you have, naming sessions and all. So like that, many simple activities have been done, celebrating birthdays on Zoom calls. But I think the true engagement would be more of, these are all fun activities or, simple learning activities. But having said that, I think engagement would also mean, apart from having fun activity, it would be also, unlearning and learning is also an engagement also. It's not just about, creating fun activities and, celebrating successes, etc. Um, Engaging them. We've had a health website that we have introduced, and we ensure that all our employees participate. So it's not that, we have introduced it and we have created, etc. So, we said, why don't you name it? Why don't you come back to us with, what is it that you're doing apart from, working at home? So I think it's a overall, it's not just initiative based, but it has, day to day also that has to be looked into. So what I mean by that is, I think it's a lot, not just HR related, but I think it's more about the managers also building the connect with the team and day to day connect, and how they have been able to, build a relationship, and actually answer their fears, answer their concerns. I think that's where we have, you know, for example, the yoga initiative we did, that is one thing we did to enable them, make them feel healthy and, make them feel engaged, etc., etc. But at the same time, from a manager perspective, they have had a lot of engaging sessions that they've had, which, won't be called as a formal engagement activity, but these are more, team building and connected sessions on connecting with the employees.
Correct. Keeping them included, so that it's more of an
Yes.
inclusivity engagement. Yeah, completely agree on that.
So,
So I think,
touch with the employee, I think, is
yeah,
the
please go
most
ahead.
important part from the engagement standpoint, rather than,
Yeah,
having a formal activity or a pulse survey, etc., etc. I think more than that, you have to understand what they are going through at that situation, and
very true.
trying to.
Very true.
It cannot be a solution for everybody. All employees, you cannot give one thing saying that, okay, for to engage you, I'm providing this, because each one went through their own situation, is going through, or reacting to it in a different way, and has a different circumstance. So I think at an individual level, if that engagement is done, that is more impactful in this current situation, rather than, having one solution saying that, okay, this is an activity and we're doing it organization wide. And that's
Correct.
what we have encouraged all. Yes.
And I think it's a fine balance. So like I mean, I love to keep saying, and I've been doing this to various people, to say people over profits, productivity, process at this time. All those are important, but none of those will get accomplished if you don't take care of your first P, which is the capital P, which is people. So that's the mantra I think most organizations need to follow. So which is good. I think in a way, more or less, we have kind of in one way or the other answered most of the questions that we have received thus far. So let's just move away for a moment and look at the future. This paradigm shift that has happened in the way businesses are run and need to be run going forward with such unexpected and completely out of the blue situations that have been thrust on us thanks to COVID. How do you see the role of CHRO evolving going forward and kind of preparing for the future?
See, the role of a CHRO has steadily increased in the last couple of years, and more so with COVID. It's becoming a more and more important role in an organization space. It, I would say, from the future perspective, it's more of a multidisciplinary role an HR has to play. The financial aspect is important, the legal aspect is important, technological aspect is important. So I think we should be geared up as HR people. We cannot afford to remain within our domains today. We have to partner with the business, understand how the goals are being achieved, how the strategy is being driven. And we should be there where the action is. So what I mean to say by this is that a lot of times, we say that this is what an HR is going to do, this is what a finance is going to do, an IT team is going to do. I think that kind of a silo is not going to work anymore. I think a lot of, these barriers have to be, or these barriers should not be there. A finance person, an HR person needs to wear the hat of a finance person. Look at the financial aspect. Move from a cost center perspective to a profit center perspective as well. Gone are the days where HR, continue to be a cost function. Can we think about HR being called as a profit center? Yes, it is possible. So the HR person needs to have these skills of being able to understand the financial part, being able to drive the strategy along with the CEO and the leaders of the organization. That's where the true business partnership will be there, which means yes, hiring, firing, retention, talent management would go on. But along with that, how am I able to contribute to the bottom line of the business? How am I ensuring the productivity of the business? These aspects have to be definitely considered because the future is going to be very different. 50 years back, I think if we were to talk to our parents and grandparents as to what kind of work, they used to do and what they would think of future, it was very different. So
Right.
going ahead, I don't see us doing the same thing that we have been doing in the last couple of years. I definitely see a step change. For all you know, this CHRO role will be a CEO's role. Wearing the hat would be, very, very important for a CHRO. Yeah, so that's how it
Absolutely.
would be.
Very well
Thank you.
said.
Thank you. That was a very well said, well made statement. Anjali, before I hand over to you, I think Shivendra's point is very good. It's a nice idea, and I'm sure some of the organizations may have already implemented it. But good thought, Shivendra, on actually highlighting those people who have recovered from COVID and make a story about it, so that it is
So we
encouraging
have
and
done
it
this,
is.
anybody
Oh,
who has
lovely. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something I think I didn't share. So anybody, if at all if there has been a positive case, we have ensured that somebody from the HR team stays connected with the person till they recover and come back. Every day there's a call, connect, and understanding how things are and what things are.
Very nice.
That's a
Very
good
nice.
initiative. That really helps in. So as I said, this is an engagement-related initiative rather than having a uniform one. This is also something which really brings
Absolutely.
the individual closer to the organization.
And we see some actions already. Rosetta has confirmed that her organization is also been doing this. So that is very well done, Rosetta. Great, great thought. Over to you, Anjali.
Oh, so I was smiling all through when Poonam was saying CHRO next CEO. That's fantastic. And HBR conducted a survey wherein some of the statements were very powerful, and I thought I should mention it here. That earlier, at very big company moments, for example, the CEO and CFO, the finance head, would be breaking news to employees, whereas that has changed in a way, if I may say, thanks to the pandemic, because it's the CEO and the CHRO who are now breaking news of any kind to the employees. So possibly we are inching slowly but surely towards that, Poonam. There has been a question repeat. I think I saw it 2 or 3 times about how do you keep the HR team itself motivated, since they are taking on so much of the onus now. So, is there anything that you have done, Komal, which has helped to keep your own team motivated?
Yes, it has been. I mean, as I said, it's been a lot of challenge that they have also had to face. So, I mean, I think constant connect was important. I mean, to the extent that even we made food for the team. One of my team members staying in
Oh,
hostel,
wow.
she said, I told her, why don't you go back home? She said, no, I want to stay here. I don't want to go. Maharashtra is where I belong to, and there is a complete lockdown there. I prefer staying here. So to the
Right.
extent of even cooking food for her and going and sharing the time with her, taking her for a ride in the car. Okay, you must be staying in the hostel. So I think it's about the requirement. Each person has a different need. So some people would need more work from home time, or more time to spend with the family. So even I think situation and case basis, the team engagement has changed. And yes, the employees have the HR team has been extremely positive about the whole situation. Not even one person in my team came back and say that no, I'm scared, and it's not possible, or I'm tired. And a lot of energy we had in our team. We used to connect every day in the morning, evening. I think staying connected helped a lot. And then we used to
Awesome.
have the regular Sunday calls, because on the working day you're always working with the business and you may not have time to connect. Sundays we used to have a Zoom call and just chit chat, what's happening, what did you make, and stuff like that, or what's happening with your hobbies. So I think those kind of connects really helped in keeping the team together. And then of
Excellent,
course
Komal.
everybody is using WhatsApp these days, so ensuring that the communication is there is very very important. Who is doing what, and there is no confusion, there is no slippages. So a lot of focus on communication was also there at the time when we were working from home. Yes.
Wow. God bless you, Komal. I mean, you really have gone out of your way to ensure that not just the organization, but your team members are looked after as well. And that's a learning for sure. Thank you for
Yes, we
sharing
have
that.
to. Thank you so much. It's a, I think it's a mutual process. Yeah, I think after all, we are all humans. We are all with emotions, trust, and if we believe in it strongly and we follow it, I think things fall in place. Things don't get so complicated.
Yeah, very, very true. Again, it's about something that I think we as HR folks have been talking about for a long time. The employee connect, the actual genuine connect with the employees, and I think this pandemic has given us an opportunity to do exactly that. Not just us,
That's right.
but
Mhm.
everybody else who. So I think we have been forward thinking in that sense for sure.
Yes.
Over to you, Sanjay. Any?
So this, there's a slightly, more strategic question from the KK team itself, as you can probably read. So human capital is the foundation of value creation. Human capital is intangible. It's an intangible asset. So how do you differentiate between what needs to get measured and what is important from a people perspective? I think the importance is around the people perspective is what is being asked. Any thoughts on that? I know it's a very
Yeah.
large subject, but
Where is the
any
question? Where can I read it once? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Human
It's
capital, a
the name of
foundation,
Keka and
value
HR.
creation, but human capital is intangible asset. How do you differentiate between what needs to be measured and what is important? How to create a framework around HR value drivers? See, I think everything is measurable. May not be. See, for example, I way back in my career, I defined the KRA of a creative director who's making movies. So I don't think
Right.
anything is there which cannot be measured. But at the same time, there are a lot of aspects that are there when we talk about HR value. So it's not about just KRA or hiring or engagement or productivity. It's a I again go back to the same thing as I mentioned. Each individual is unique. Yes, a lot of times we have systems and processes which support us. They are there to support us. But at the same time, there is a uniqueness to every single situation that is there. If one
Right.
thinks through the problem and provides a solution to it, that's where the entire value addition happens to the individual as well as to the organization and to the HR process. All three. So I am a firm believer of that. That yes, you need to have system and process in place. System and process are important because as you grow in the as the organization grows, you need to have a uniform way of working, etc. But at the same time, there are these unique dimensions that are there which have to be addressed, and that's where the entire value addition to the employee and the organization takes place. And I think measurement is not impossible, because measurement is, how is it, how do you define the end result? It depends upon whether you focus on the end result or you define the journey. Because at times, for certain roles, the journey is equally important, or how you achieve is equally important to what you achieve also.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
So if you focus and you go into detailing of how things are achievable and you start measuring them, then the measurement can be created. So I think it depends upon the role, it depends upon the situation, it depends upon what value needs to be created, what is it that we are expecting from a value creation process. Basis that the entire thing can be put together. Even a dimension like trust, when we are talking about, we say trust is intangible. We say honesty is not tangible. But yes, there are measurements today when we are talking about great place to work. We are looking at trust as a dimension, and we are the entire engagement, Gallup we are doing. So these are all different ways we are bringing some kind of a measurement. Measurement helps in drawing the scale and understanding where we are with respect to a certain dimension.
Absolutely. Very well said. So before we move on, Ashik, I think you've said it very correctly. What I would like to add to your statement in terms of the employees perceiving HR to be a more useful, if I may,
Very right.
so you've said it right. What I would like to add, and I'm sure Komal and Anjali will agree with me, Ashik, is it's always been about how HR has approached proactively also. It is not just the perception. Why does the perception get created? Perception gets created in the way we act as HR professionals. And if we continue to stick to the rule book, and every time there is an employee who comes to us with an issue or with a challenge, and we only go back and throw the rule book at them and say, as per policy, this is all I can do, but you're not really proactively thinking of solutions to solve that problem or overcome that challenge or help the employee, the perception will stand that we are a rigid set of people. Therefore, while the situation has forced us to rethink in the way we operate, even in normal times, I think it is very important for us to believe in ourselves and say we are here to support the people and the organization, not just to follow policies set by someone else. So that is also a big change which needs to happen in the mindset. I'm not saying it is with every HR professional, but by and large, I think we still need to evolve. Do you agree, Komal, Anjali?
Yeah, very much, yeah.
So there's a question from Bitopi, which I think we had kind of answered this, Bitopi, if you had attended our earlier sessions on specific to women and work from home in one of the earlier webinars. But since you've asked the question and there could be some new participants in this webinar, I'll throw that at Komal and say, any suggestions for mothers balancing work from home, work-life balance?
Yeah, I think children have been also been impacted in the sense that for example, my son misses running in the school. He says the thing that I miss the most is the freedom that I used to get here. Constantly, the parents are behind me on the Zoom call, ensuring that masti the children are missing, right? So yes, they have also that entire fear thing. And me and my husband realized after 3 months that he has not stepped out of the house for 3 months. We were so protective. Yeah. So how do you balance? I think it's a choice a person makes when you get to work, when you have your family as well as you have a work, and at that time you choose to I think women are also very natural at multitasking and balancing things. I wouldn't say men are not, men are equally, but at the same time, I think that's a choice you make when you get to work, when you have a family to, take care to, when you're lady of the house, etc. And I think that you need to have a support system in place. That's a very, very important aspect. Whether it is family or friends or even at the workplace, I think I have got immense support at my workplace from all my colleagues. I mean, there are times like I have even brought into the workplace also. So if you have the support system, it is easy, and it is okay to let a few goals drop temporarily. So what I mean to say is that every day if you have to be at office at 9:30, yes, it's important. But it's okay that if you have something to catch up at home, you come at 10:30. So I think it's okay to drop a few things once in a while and not push oneself against the wall and say that yes, I'm supposed to do this all the time. So I think support is important, and be a little more human in the sense that be soft to oneself. A woman has to always not keep running that I have to take care of my son. The son needs to have lunch at 2 o'clock, and at the same time my meeting is there at 2 o'clock. How do I balance? So there have been times during the COVID when we were working from home. We used to have lunch at 3 and 4. There was one day I didn't cook food. We were having our Zoom call and all, and that was okay. You don't have to feel guilty and feel uncomfortable about not being able to or having a late lunch, etc.
Correct.
One
Yeah,
should be open and be flexible, and I think children and family also learn to adapt to things. So they also
absolutely,
understand that
absolutely.
yes, for mama, work is equally important. She's happy when she comes back. She's satisfied, and so they also come forward and they support the individual.
For sure, for sure. I think we have run out of time. So, last thought, Anjali, if you're okay with that, is any three top tips for HR professionals on how they need to evolve their own role to help organizations and help themselves grow in their careers.
Yeah, is this the question from Keka we are talking about?
No, 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 no. I'm just asking you a last question
Actually,
for you to leave
okay.
your
Yeah.
top
I
three thoughts
the
for
question.
HR professionals to evolve themselves. Yes.
Um, be flexible, be willing to learn and unlearn. I think unlearning and learning is very, very important. Yes. And
So
be
true.
connected with the business dimension. That's very important. And I think self-awareness and emotional intelligence also plays a very, very important role.
Lovely. Lovely.
Yeah, I
Absolutely
think
lovely point.
yeah, we
Yeah.
should know what are our strengths and what is it that we don't want to do or we are not comfortable with also. That's very, very important for an HR person as well.
True. Makes sense. Anjali, over to you for closure.
Sure. Thank you so much, Komal. It was a pleasure to have you with us today for this webinar. And I'm sure there are so many takeaways, not just for Sanjay and me, but for the rest of the audience as well. And thank you for sharing such, personal stories and insights. I think that was very powerful. And it's good to know that you too feel that, the CHRO is definitely going to outlast COVID-19, and
Yes.
permanently together we're going to change the way we all do business and, handle our employees. So thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
So thank you so much, Sanjay and Anjali, both of you, to to encourage me to come out and share. Normally, I avoid doing these things as I told you, but at the same time, I really appreciate the audience for such um, excellent questions that they have put forward, and they have been. It's been a participative audience, and that's what I liked about this a lot. The questions and all are really thoughtful. So thank you to all of you as well, the audience. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
I was about to say that as well as the last comment to say, in our experience over since March till date, our audience on all these webinars that we have been doing have been absolutely engaging, very thoughtful questions, and very participative. So thank you everyone. And once again, thank you so much, Komal. We really appreciate your
Thank you.
time and the privilege of having you here. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you
Anjali.
to the KK team for handling it so well once again. Take care and
As
stay
always.
safe, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.